that Coach Navis, he doesn't, I appreciate him bringing the head coaches. I know he doesn't like to have this recognition, but he does an outstanding job leading our athletics program, and we know that leadership, obviously, working with our head coaches and our assistant coaches, but quite an accomplishment. And we were able to recognize our coaching staff at our back-to-school staff meeting on the first day, and we had the assistants be able to stand up with our head coaches, and no pressure, but I just said as we compete in this next classification, we're going to rise to the occasion. So thank you, congratulations. I'm going to turn it over to Coach Navis, and then if any of the board members would like to say anything.
Well, first of all, winning the Director Cup was never anybody's goal. I mean, and I say that, when I came here, that was like a goal, like I really had a goal. And when I stopped thinking about it, we won it, and we won it again, and we won it again. I've never once in the last 3 years looked at where we were in the rankings until the school year was over with. But it's a byproduct of a lot of things. It's a byproduct of a school board that has enough vision to understand the importance of what extracurriculars, not just athletics, you've got fine arts, performing arts, ROTC, will do for our young people when they go out into the real world. So that's incredibly important. We have a tremendous community. Our athletes are wonderful. They're very dedicated. And look, newsflash, we don't go out and try to steal other people's athletes. We try to coach our own. We try to mold our own. We do get a handful every now and again, but these are Jefferson-made kids. And this coaching staff, like when you can hire coaches, you hire people that will come in and do things the way that you want things done. And I was very fortunate. I've been here since 2002, and I was told many Morris Bryant stories, and I've worked with some legends, Doug Thurman to be one of them, and I understand how we do things here in Jefferson. And these people were hired because of their fit. If they're not going to be a fit in our community, we're not going to hire them. So I've got a tremendous coaching staff. I'm very proud of them. They will do anything I ask them to do. If you came to the track meet that we held that was a state event, you saw all these coaches out there busting their tails, working, trying to support one another. But understand that above everything, the Diamond J comes first. That's incredibly important. So when you have all of that into one pot, good things are going to happen. And I don't know what 5A is going to do for us. I mean, we got thrown into 5A once before. It's a lot different landscape now. It's going to be tremendously challenging. We're going to coach our kids. And we're going to coach what we have and develop what we have, because that's incredibly important. So everything you see on any of our athletic fields is Jefferson made, and that makes me very proud.
Coach Navis, could you get each coach to introduce themselves and what they coach?
Sure.
I'm Jordan Busey, I coach cheerleading.
I'm Tim Lees, cross country.
Amos Tiff, track.
Then should not be track, cheerleading, dance.
Kevin Morris, boys basketball.
Kyle Hardy, baseball.
Nate White, girls rugby. Matt Sims, boys and girls golf.
Clark Weaver, boys tennis.
Kimberly Boswell, tennis.
Austin Thompson, girls basketball. Tyler Pineda, boys soccer.
Alan Bailey, softball.
Kyle Baird, men's wrestling.
Very good, thank you.
Well, I'll say, Coach Navis may not keep up with the standings during the year, but we do. We had it down to the very last stroke in golf a couple of years ago. So thank y'all very much. And also, win or lose, we're very proud to see you guys continue the Jefferson way of conducting yourselves, and also our kids conducting themselves in a class manner, on the mat, on the field, on the course, on the wherever it may be, win or lose, conducting themselves in a proper Jefferson way. We appreciate that. Please keep up the great work.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, Coach Navis, we thank you for supervising this bunch. You got a handful to work with, especially that one.
You got your barbecue tickets over there?
Should have brought them, all right. And I'd just like to say thank you to all the coaches, because when you win this Director's Cup, it depends on what all of you do, not just one or two. It's all of you, because it all adds up, as Brantley was saying. He looks at it and lets us know where we stand and what we got to do. So thank you for all you do, and we do appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing good things. As she said, we'll rise to the occasion of 5A. I know that's not It doesn't sound real good, but it will be. It'll be okay. We did it once, and we'll do it again. So thank all of y'all for what you've done, and Coach Harris, especially for you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Congratulations.
You did? I didn't realize who it was.
And I know as we were recognizing our head coaches, Coach Navis mentioned about extracurricular activities, and we are very fortunate that we have an extremely strong CTAE program, and we have quite a few accolades within our FFA program that we're proud to and have these students join us today and to recognize them. And so I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Christy Drew, and she'll introduce our groups and their accomplishments. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lewin. So I have the honor today to come and just kind of start off this little presentation, a celebration, I guess, of different accomplishments. Like Dr. Lewin said, that our FFA has accomplished this summer and last spring. So I'd like to start with recognizing Dr. Holman, Alex Holman. He is one of our agriculture teachers and FFA advisors. He was recognized by GACTE, the Georgia Association of Career Technical Educators, this summer for winning the Carl Perkins Community Service Award.
Wow.
And that's just one example of how he leads the group of students that he has, these amazing FFA members. And we are very appreciative for all that he pours into his classroom students and the members, and just encouraging them to get involved and grow and just learn more. So I'm proud to be able to recognize him for that today. And then I'm going to turn it over to him to talk about the students, because it's a long list, so I will leave something out and miss something up. So
I'm gonna keep it short though. So I'm gonna do this way instead of this way. I'm gonna start with Grace Coster and Brock Booth. They won state in their agri-science fair project in April, and last week we found out they are top 10 in the country as national finalists.
Wow.
So there's 52 FFA associations in the country, so out of if all 52 sent a agri-science fair project in their category, and they placed in the top 10 out of 52 so far. And they'll do an interview sometime in September. Don't know. Wait, I did send you the date. The 22nd. I'm sorry. We do know that date now. So then we'll find out in October if they're the national winners. And then Brock and Kaylin are Georgia FFA national delegates. So it was 59 applications were received.
59 or 57.
And Georgia FFA officers had to go through those and select 24 of them. So they got selected out of those 57, 59 to represent the state of Georgia at national convention. Technically, we have 3 delegates because Grace is a state officer. She is also a national delegate, making us the only chapter in the state to have 3. And they will conduct official FFA business on behalf of the over 1 million FFA members at national convention in October. Vote on things, all that cool stuff. So proud of all 3 of them for everything they have accomplished.
Absolutely. Congratulations. Okay.
You make the uniform look great.
Where is,
Good luck to it.
I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
what is it, is national convention in Indianapolis?
Yes, sir. Indianapolis.
And all y'all
I know you'll
seniors?
represent us well.
I'm a freshman at UGA, so I serve on Monday.
And then those other 2 gifts there.
They're seniors.
Brock and Kaylin.
Okay.
Thank you for being here.
Thank y'all.
All right.
That guy went in, got in, the Carl Perkins, he's the one that sang the Blue Suede Shoes with Sun Records up in Memphis.
All right, in our next recognition, this is actually part of our instructional program report, but we're going to go ahead and recognize Lindy House and Beth Moore, and Dr. Hicks, I will turn it over to you if that's okay.
Yes, today with us because what they do over the summer really is amazing. And so, Lindy, if you want to give us a little bit of information and talk to us about your wonderful volunteers and the head volunteers, that would be great.
I first want to say thank you to Dr. McMullen and Dr. Hicks for just giving us some really great programming ideas to just expand on the idea begun by retired media specialist Marion Stem. And it's just grown into a family-friendly event across the schools with Thursday programming and also at the new multi-purpose facility, which has been a very exciting event. I do have some people to thank. There's so many. Thank you to the rec department. They were so amazing at working with us and collaborating and even getting time during the day for the kids to read. Each week we had some really exciting events where there are so many people involved. The administrator week, we had Brandon Vincent and Adria Whitworth as administrators to come and read to the younger students in the schools. And Brandon even dressed up and did a great job. And I imagine these kids later are going to see their principals and remember this connection. Hometown Hero Week, we had Officer Deese and Officer Diaz and also Jefferson EMS. And it was just really amazing to see these men reading with our kids and really making one-on-one kind of conversations with the kids and just encouraging them. Each book they picked up to really validate that for the kids. Jessica Bowden, JMS art teacher, shared the books that she's been writing and just did such a creative program with the kids. Liz French, Jennifer McCauley, just amazing to bring the snakes out in nature.
I was gonna say, she'd
It's
bring the
such a
snakes.
longing. Yes, the kids love the snakes. And also just bringing the joy of nonfiction reading to our kids. Savannah Hicks, just doing a great job and mesmerizing the kids with pecans and pralines and the talk of agriculture. And that was such an exciting event. And also just for all her help for the Books and Bites event at the multi-purpose facility. Of course, Beth Moore, our #1 volunteer. I think he volunteered almost every week and really just helping out on those high volume days. Holly Walden at JA, Kathy Alford at JES, parent Elizabeth Swigum, and of course our bus driver John D'Antonio, Teresa Steyer for just promoting the event so well for everyone, and media specialist Debbie Long helped us on several events, and Erica Golding and Sherry Booth. And we just had so many different interactions and just so many kids touched. I had a kid, and it was so funny just this past week. He said, I saw the bookmobile coming through my neighborhood, and I didn't go out, but I did read. And even those kids that may not have come out, it was a huge advertisement going through every single neighborhood every week.
So every week for 6 weeks, on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, you were in neighborhoods,
Yes.
correct?
Tuesdays, Wednesdays, yes.
And then on Thursdays is when she did the special programming. So every Thursday, 6 Thursdays, that's what she was describing to you, celebrating the 250th anniversary of our country in different ways. And every time I saw the bus, Beth was on the bus and at Books and Bites. And it was just, it was so much energy there. We were really, really excited about it. And I have a little tiny short video to show you here in my instructional report in just a second that gives you some data from the summer. But and I frequently got text messages from Lindy telling me what the heat index was the day because there is no air conditioning on the bus. So
Our stats are really good through June, but then the high heat index days in July maybe the number down a little bit, along with some storms.
So when we say that they volunteered, and it was hot, it was a really hot summer, so.
And I think having the bookmobile at the multi-purpose facility generated some ideas that I'm excited to see how those have evolved, because that'll, be a great opportunity to bring maybe our families together to do some literacy and reading events at the stadium as well.
Definitely. We're looking at a reading kickoff for summer next year.
Oh, next summer, you're gonna wait till it gets warm again. Ms. Bowles, let me ask you this. What do you perceive as the total number or a if not a total, maybe an average number that you would see or show the bookmobile off to? What kind of numbers were you seeing?
Oh, how many books? I think it was, yes.
Yeah, I have that in my, I
Oh,
have
okay.
our, and I have a comparison for you for the last 2 years, so that you can see the total number of books checked out each summer. Yeah,
Okay.
I feel like some neighborhoods are very, very strong. Other neighborhoods, we noticed where we're not getting students, that's really early in the day, so some kids may be reading, sleeping in, and, we're kind of looking at that, I think, for next year.
she's trying to battle the heat though, so
Yeah.
there's a fine line she has to walk between those two. But she keeps data on every neighborhood that she goes to, how many students there are, so, yes, lots and lots of good information for us. And she adjusts as each summer rolls out.
And principals, y'all can just maybe capitalize on this student that thought, that reminded the student to read, so you could just tell your students next year, see the bookmobile coming, we're coming to check, see if you're reading. So,
I have 2 boxes full of bookmobile books at
I
my.
picked them up yesterday.
Okay, good. I was gonna say, so I think some of them brought them back to school, which
Yes,
is great.
and that was something that is low stress for the parents to get those back and bring them to the schools after.
Well, that's great, and I think this is a great program, and I appreciate y'all volunteering to do this.
I love seeing the kids during the summer.
Well, good.
Reading's important, so my favorite things.
Very good, it is. And anybody else have anything they'd like to say? Just thank you again. Let's give them a round of applause. All right, did y'all read over the summer? Okay, we'll go on to the financial report. Ms. Navis.
All right, so you have before you, the first one is the general fund. First month of the fiscal year. So obviously our QBE revenue came in, our tuition fees have been mostly collected. They're not 100%, but they're pretty close. And then a little bit on local funds that we collected, some Medicaid reimbursements. And then below, you have the expenditures for the month of July, and then our encumbrances. And obviously, this time of year, you can see where those encumbrance numbers, these are orders. A lot of these obviously are consumables and things like that we need for instructional programs, as well as some of our software renewals that we have every year are embedded in these numbers. So, you see, we ended the fund balance in July of $6,150,489. I do want to preface, just because we did it last year, and we're definitely going to have to do it again this year, but we will need to seek a TAN, which is a tax anticipation notice, loan, to help get us to the point when we're receiving our tax revenue, which should be in December, late December, is when we get those tax revenues. So, in order to be able to support ourselves through that period, we're gonna have to go after a temporary loan to support that. So, we'll probably have next month before, you know, a presentation to who to approve, and then we'll have to probably enact on that towards mid to late October. Last year was late November. This month, because our fund balance is even lower than it was the year before, we're gonna have to do that. And also on this report is the 26 budget, because we haven't approved the 27 budget. That's being presented to you guys today, and that'll be voted on in the September board meeting.
The tax rate.
Huh?
Did you say the tax?
The budget, as well as the millage rate, yeah. We will have the millage rate as well. And I'll talk about the millage rate when we get to the budgets that's being presented. Okay,
Okay.
any questions? Okay, then we'll go take a look at the SPLOSH detail report. This represents the past 3 months of expenditures paid out of SPLOSH. You know, summertime, the list gets a little longer, right? So this represents things that were significant. You heard Mr. Plummer talk about the installation of our new servers that are at the high school. That's a big line item on it from the prior month, as well as the new floors at the elementary school, which I think were a big hit for all the staff and students over there. Those were on the hallways. Those did not go in the classrooms. So just remember, when we were talking about that, we had to do the abatement as well as then replacing those floors. So that's represented here as well. And then we had some lingering band inventory that had not come in on the prior order. Those were still coming in, so we had to pay for those, as well as some like HVAC issues. We had some painting that was being completed at the academy and elementary school. And then obviously the other big line item was the debt payment that we have to make on the 2018, which was the Memorial Stadium project financing. That's the 2018 debt. So we ended splashed with $16,768,247.68, which we're reserving approximately almost 8.2 towards projects. So that leaves us almost 8.6 million for splosh projects themselves. I did fail to talk about the deposit for the month of July. You see in there $637,030.96, which that was up 16%. That's the last month of that former percentage. So next month we'll be at the 24% mark. Okay.
Okay, any questions about that? All right.
Okay. And the next one is the splash projection report. Again, that takes a look at where we are on our splash today and where we project revenue as well as expenditures going forward towards the end of January. And obviously all the debt payments for 2026 calendar year have been expended because we paid them in January and then again in July for August. So there's no big updates on this particular report. If it's okay, we can go to the middle school project report. We're in the home stretch, folks. So if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see our remaining balance right now is $4.5 million. Of that, $2 million will be returned to us as contingency, so technically we're at 2.5. And to be honest, really 1.5 of that is retainage. Like, they have to hold back 10% of retainage of the project, and we pay that out in the end. That's once all the checklist and all the things have been taken care of. And I think in the facility report, Tom has discussed what things are still outstanding, some landscaping things and so forth. So we're in the home stretch, so that's good news.
So the total's gonna be basically the 31 million.
Yeah.
But if you add the 4.5, but you're.
But 2.5
But it's really
will
only
come out of that,
2.5,
yeah.
so you're looking at 33.5
33.5. Yes, sir.
total at the end of
Yep.
the day. Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Okay, if we can look at the PBA report. This is the PBA bond report. And it lays out where all of our expenses against all the different projects are being paid for out of the 2025 bond account. Obviously, the biggest line item was the semi-annual debt payment for it as well, and that was made in the month of July, $2.5 million. And then obviously things like the middle school project, the high school covered facility, and then the JHS high school project is underway, so we paid for that payment in the month of July. So we ended the month at $72,676,49.
Okay.
Any questions?
Do we still owe on the Carroll Daniel covered facility?
Yes.
We do, okay,
A little bit, yes.
okay.
Um,
So
yeah,
you're
'cause
still
that-
$500,000 away.
Right, I was gonna say, yeah, the project's
Okay.
4 million and we're sitting at a little under 3.5,
Okay,
so.
okay, just wanna make sure.
And we we should underrun that about maybe 200,000, but we've expended that on some other things like the concrete and so forth that we paid for. So basically, we're using their underrun, so they'll come in around 3.8, but the other $200,000 is paid for other things that we could get done around that facility as well that was not in the contract per se.
And by the way, guys, the Valdosta just debuted theirs last week. Now, it's enclosed. I think it was a little over 12 million. Now, they could have weight rooms and meeting rooms and whatnot included.
Restrooms
I'm
and
not
stuff
sure,
like that, yeah.
restrooms. But
That would throw it up really quick.
for
when
sure,
you do
for
that.
sure. But that's bang for the buck. We got a great deal. Phil.
That's good. Okay, last but not least, the utility report. Like I said, looking at July for Georgia Power, honestly, a little, surprised, but I think July, to be honest, was a little overall cooler than normal. I think we're gonna pay the price with August. August is coming in like a lion, right? With these upper 90 degrees this coming week, so, we'll keep our eye on those, but nothing really out of the norm. The middle school, you'll see that second middle school fire hydrant line up. That's because that's where the irrigation line that feeds for the middle school field over there is ran. So, and any kind of irrigation is ran off that fire hydrant line, so. If you have any questions, I can entertain those.
All right, anybody have any questions? I would question the one down under water consumption. You've got a pool and new
It's
CD.
just the upper area, it's the upper concession area at the stadium, so, it's not really pool, I'm sorry, probably should take off the word pool, but it's just that upper meter
Okay,
where the concession stand is.
just a question. All right,
Okay.
anybody else have any other questions?
Yeah, on that water, as far as over at JMS on that fire hydrant, I was getting concerned there because the irrigation has not been ran, but that would have been the irrigation for the construction project as far as all the
Probably,
grass,
yes.
all the way around here is what
Yeah.
that is, yeah, okay,
Yeah. So that should come down.
yeah, sure.
All right, thank you. Next is the transportation. Mr. Weaver, you didn't have to drive a bus today?
No, I didn't.
Thank goodness. All right, just checking. What you got?
All right, fuel $17,378.41. Diesel price $5.15. Gas $3.89. Propane $2.47. Bus service repairs $7,886.25. And I have a list of buses and the work that we did on those for the higher ones. The total cost of operation was $25,264.66. All of the routes are covered. We currently have a sub-driver position that we are going to fill. We are running 18 regular air routes, 2 sped routes, and 1 GNet route. We had 41 trips on the books for August 2026. No recommendations at this time, and we did open the year completely staffed, so that felt really good.
Yeah, I bet so. All right, anybody got any questions of Mr. Weaver? All right, well, thank you very much, and we got the wheels on the bus go round and round.
Always a challenge at the beginning of the year.
Yes.
So thank you.
All right.
Thank you for working with the schools as far as the construction, high school, and switching around.
It has been awesome to work with the staff and to get through that process and just working and making changes. It's been awesome to work with everybody. We had to do some shifting at the last minute, but everybody kind of got in there. We worked it out, worked through it all, so that's been great working with everybody.
Very good.
That. And we're working with
good, thank you. All right, anybody else have any questions? Mr. Weaver? We'll go to the instructional report. Dr. Hicks?
Yes, sir. I have some information here for you from our milestones. And there's a lot of information in these sheets, so I'll just sort of talk you through what you are able to see from this. If you look at, the first one is third grade mathematics. And if you look across at the highlighted Jefferson City row, you'll see that we tested 274 students. Sometimes it's kind of nice to look at that when you're comparing yourself to other districts to see how many they tested. Remember that in our milestones, we have 4 different levels of achievement. So there's beginning learner, developing learner, proficient, and distinguished. That's a level 1, 2, 3, 4. The percent of our 274 students that scored at the developing or above level is 95.3%. The state considers that to be our percent of passing. They say if you make a 2, 3, or 4, then you are quote unquote passing for the state. So that puts us in the state as 12th. And you see there, that's the order that these school systems are in, so you can see sort of who we are performing around. If you look at the next column, that says percent proficient above. So of those 274 students that we tested, 73% of those scored either a level 3 or level 4. And that puts us 9th in the state. So the schools there, we just felt like that was a good way to present that information for you. You go to the next one, you'll see 4th grade mathematics. So 4th grade mathematics, we were 7th in the state for developing and above, and 13th in the state for proficient and above. And I should have said in the last, for the 3rd grade mathematics also, you can see the schools that are above Jefferson City, so that you will quickly be able to figure out that we are 2nd in our RESA region. That's for both 3rd grade mathematics and 4th grade mathematics. Then in 5th grade mathematics, we are 6th in the state for developing and above, for those students passing that assessment. 3rd in the state for those who are scoring levels 3 and 4. And again, you'll see we are 2nd in our RESA region. 5th grade science, 86.6% of our students passed that assessment. That puts us 7th in the state. 63.7% proficient above, that puts us at 11th. 2nd in our RESA region. When you look at the middle school, 6th grade mathematics, we tested 325 students. So just take a look at the systems above us. All tested quite a bit fewer students than we did. 96.3% of our students made a 2, 3, or 4 on it. That placed us at 6th in the state, 72.6% proficient above, putting us at 5th. And you'll notice that that makes us 1st in our region, in our RESA region, if you look at those schools above us. 7th grade mathematics is a shining star.
Yes.
We were 5th in the state for developing and above, but 1st in the state for proficient and above. So 78.5% of our 7th graders scored at a level 3 or 4. And you'll see that we are also 1st in our RESA region. 8th grade mathematics, 97.4% of those students passed, scoring a level 2, 3, or 4. And 76.9 put us in 6th place for proficient and above. So 1st place in our RESA region, 3rd in the state. Those are all end-of-grade assessments, and next you will see end-of-course assessments. So in the 8th grade, all of our 8th graders take physical science. They have to take an end-of-course test at the end of that class. Not everyone in the state in 8th grade requires all of their students to take that class. So what we did is take out the ones who tested everyone. So that puts our 8th graders at 2nd in the state for developing and above, 2nd in the state for proficient and above, and of course 2nd in our RESA region. Next, you'll see our 8th grade social studies. This is also an end of grade assessment. 8th grade social studies, first in the state with 96.8% developing and above, and 62.6% were proficient and above. So of course that puts us first in our RESA region. The algebra EOC at the high school, that's given to 9th graders. We assessed 330 students. We were 7th in the state with 92.7% developing and above. 18th if you look at proficient and above percentages. We are 2nd in our RESA region. Biology, that's an EOC exam. We were 4th in the state for developing and above, and 7th in the state for proficient and above. First in our RESA region. U.S. history, we had 83.5% of our students to pass that assessment, putting us a little further down, 22nd in the state. You know, you see the absence of our ELA scores, but that assessment was taken. They are now in the process, all the way through, I think, the end of September, they are making the cut scores for those, using teacher groups across the state to come up with those, reviewing those assessments. We should get those results, I think it will be December before we see those.
Okay.
Because this is that last year was the first year for those new state ELA standards and the new ELA assessment.
Very good. Anybody have any questions about that? The scores overall look good. I mean, you've got one or two that could need some improvement, but
Yes,
overall they look good.
right, we were very pleased. We know the places where we need to do a little work, and we have begun that.
Good.
It's fantastic. And if you look at your mathematics too, you're going higher and higher in the rankings with each grade, it looks like. Steady progression.
And when we look at our test data, you know, I know the state looks at the levels 2, 3, and 4, and Dr. Hicks mentioned this, but that level, that's considered a pass rate. But as we work with principals, we really try to focus on that 3 and 4, those levels 3 and 4, because it's proficient and distinguished. If you look at the description of developing, it's partially proficient. So those students still are maybe missing some skills or have some skill deficiencies. And so, you know, that's why it's important for us to always be looking at how can we get more students in the category of level 3 and level 4. And
Certainly the level 2, students performing at level 2 generally need more scaffolding the following year to be able to keep up and to move forward, so. But I think that it's a testament to the work of our principals and their staff for those scores, certainly.
It's fantastic.
Next on the report, you see the bookmobile numbers that I was telling you about. So the first year we did it, I think there were 672 books checked out, and then there were about 1,400 last summer, and then over 1,300 this summer. And it's just such a great video. It's almost 2 minutes, a little less than 2 minutes. I just need you to watch this.
Want that one? Ooh, I know who would win in that one. Oh, you gotta find out. You gotta read it. You gotta read it. That's a good one.
They just do a great job with the bookmobile, and as I said, to see all the people just out there volunteering during the summer, you know, they just are doing it because they love it. Then almost last in my report there, you'll see that Dr. McMullen and I attended a meeting with Stacy Lutz. She is from the Governor's Office of Education and Workforce Strategy. So you will remember the Governor's Office of Student Achievement, GOSA. GOSA is no longer in existence now, and it has been, I guess I want to say, replaced. That might be the wrong language to use, but now it's GOES. So when you hear that, it's not a mispronunciation. But that work that the meeting that we attended centered around this new Georgia Early Literacy Act. You guys know, you've been hearing about the Georgia Early Literacy Act. This is the third rendition. There was a 2024, a 2025, this is 2026. This work provides for a literacy coach in our K-3 classrooms and other support for teachers and students, including a requirement of what is now going to be called a unified literacy plan for the district. There's certain qualification or specifications that we have to include in that report, which we are working on or creating, and that will be up for your approval probably in December, because it has to be written and approved by January 1st, 2027. So you'll be hearing more about that. Next, you'll see the CTAE budget. So that is, this is what you'll see as an action item later. It includes the funds given and the grants. And then also the federal programs allocations. You know, Title I is improving academic achievement for certain subgroups. Title II is teacher quality, so professional learning. Title III is that language instruction for English learners. And then Title IV is student support and enrichment. So those will come up in action items. Okay?
Okay, anybody have any questions? I hear none. Thank you very much, Dr. Higgs.
rolling.
Do what?
I'm just gonna keep on rolling with the facilities.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So the facilities report, I think you all know that as Ms. Navis has said, the JMS project is almost complete. A few items on the punch list remain, which I think they expect to be done in the next 2 weeks. And then the construction update, I think there's only a little bit of that landscaping, I think Kim also mentioned over at the multipurpose facility, otherwise it might be complete. And then at the high school, you'll see those first 5 items are in the front of the school. And you see the percent complete there, they're close, except for that detention pond, what I think is the detention pond 1 now, not 2. And then that back parking lot, or not the back parking lot, but the back area, which is the cage and the area behind the ag facility, the ag room and the media center, all of that's being worked on, and that's the percent complete there. But in 2 weeks' time, if you look at number 4 that Tom has there on your sheet, you'll see where they expect to be in about 2 weeks. The tennis courts over here are very close to being complete, and I think I have a picture of that to show you. The volleyball and wrestling room for the girls has been updated with new lockers, and there are new mats in the weight room here at the middle school. And then he's also provided for you the school dog work order analytics to show you that in the last 30 days, with 185 work orders created, about 72% of those are complete. I think everybody's very happy with Jefferson staff.
Excuse me.
That first picture there is the girls' wrestling and volleyball locker room. And then you see the tennis courts. And then the outdoor facility there, both of those. And then below that, you see the new fence, and on the right is the part where the buses will be pulling off to unload on game days. And there's Tom.
Yeah, Tom, he's the shadow.
Dr. Hicks, on facilities, correct me if I'm wrong, Ron, Willie, the lower parking lot with the retention ponds being built, the lower parking lot, they're telling us a couple of months, which Willie, you said, in other words, Christmas.
Yeah.
Is that right, Donna?
That's right.
So that will alleviate a lot of problems going into second semester. So that's good news.
We're hopeful maybe right after fall break, but it could be Christmas, so depends on the weather. But as quickly as the weeks have been going, it will be here before you know it, so.
Okay. Dr. Hicks, that's all you have?
That's all I've got.
All right. The next thing would be enrollment update.
All right, I have been sending daily, maybe sometimes 2 times a day. I'll get home at 9 and think, did I send that? And so I might have sent it twice each day. But we have just some highlights, and I've asked Kim to just provide some highlights. She also has a way of keeping up with our projected numbers and our actual numbers, and so our 10-day count would be the number of students sitting in seats, and we have a way of calculating that. But Kim, I'll let you provide some highlights and see if the board have any questions.
Well, like I said, you can see before you, we're sitting just right at almost 4,200 students. And it seems like I said, looking at the numbers, we've kind of stabilized the past 3 days of that count. So the numbers probably are changing a little bit daily at the school levels, but not to the degree that they were right at the So when you take a look at these numbers and you compare them to where we ended last year, and then also when, when we build our budgets, we're always rolling up grade levels and looking at what our projections are. So you gotta remember, we're exiting, if you think about it, we exited out a 12th grade class. Last year, we were sitting at 327 students. And so we replaced them. I always think you exit out the seniors, you bring in the kindergartners, and we brought in around 253 kindergarten students. So that in and of itself is like a 78 student swing. But when you look at that compared to where we are, we're actually down about 58 students. So between when you look at rising kindergarten, exiting seniors, we've had growth within certain grade levels in between. And we'll probably still continue to see those in-between grade levels change slightly. So I guess the bottom line is that we're slightly under our projected, but that's not a bad position to be, because that way we can make sure, teacher ratios, all those spacing issues and that stuff, that we're not having to combat some other issues. So that's where we are today.
You might have any questions about that I'd like to ask? Hearing none, that'd be fine. Thank you very much. All right, I guess it would be Kim also.
Yes.
Budget.
Okay. You have before you the fiscal year 27 general fund budget to lie on the table for the next 30 days. I'll pass around a copy of what for you guys to have here shortly. And I just want to highlight some things that obviously is in the plan this year. Like I said, our state revenues did go up by like $718,000. However, local fair share, which is the 5 meals that we have to give back to the state, also rose. It increased $681,000. So that created a net increase for us like less than $40,000 when you're comparing QBE budgets from prior year to this year. So in this plan, we also do anticipate our tax revenue to increase to help support this budget. And also to support this budget, we had to roll in almost $3.4 million of reserves. If you remember, last year we had to roll in over $4 million of reserves. So we're grateful to kind of scale back on our reserve needs, because like you saw in our general fund report we presented earlier, our fund balance is very small, comparatively. We're definitely below the 15% mark, and this staff here, as well as our school staff, they're amazing with helping us be as efficient with our resources as possible. So, all of that kind of combining together is what's being presented to you today. On the expense side of it, we had a net reduction of 7.5 positions, and that was due to attrition. So as we've had some folks leave, we've evaluated, the schools have assisted us on finding ways that we can absorb some of those positions. So that's embedded in here. We also had the salary step increases, so as people stepped up from one year to the next or degree level, those are incorporated in here. The big change was state health, and you've heard us talk about those costs. State health cost us an extra $443,000 this year, as well as the teacher retirement rate went up. That cost an extra $216,000 when you compare last year to this year. So those two changes in and of themselves really consumed the difference, because the total between last year's original budget to this year's is not significantly different. The main difference is in the area of the fixed cost. But the way that we were able to absorb some other costs was by absorbing some of those staffing attrition situations as well. And then of things like utilities, as we open up the rest of the middle school building and have that for a full year with everything operational in the kitchen and so forth, And the whole cafe area, I guess is what I'm trying to say, we'll see some of those costs increase because of space. So anyway, like I said, this budget has to lie on the table. We will have budget hearings. I tentatively, I'll send you out a schedule, but I'm looking towards that first and second week in September to host those. We will have a morning, we'll have to have a 6 p.m. session. In addition, we plan on tag teaming this with our millage rate as well. In order to make this budget fly, we do have to look at changing our millage rate. So we do have to look at taking an increase on that millage rate, probably about 3/4 of a mil from what it is currently. I do want to remind everybody that when it comes to dollars spent per student in the state of Georgia, the Jefferson City Schools ranks in the bottom 3 systems in the state consistently year after year. Like our closest surrounding school system spends over $1,000 more per student. And if you took 4,200 students times 1,000, that's $4.2 million more that other schools spend than us, if you take a population. And if we were to match what these other school systems do, which I'm not saying we should, but I'm saying we generate, one millage rate generates $1.3 million. So you'd have to charge over 3.3 mils in order to catch up to the spending rate of what other systems spend per student closest to us. And some are even more than $1,000. 1,000 is one of the cheapest ones around us. This school system, it focuses on the academics, and we're always challenging our staff to just look at the best way to provide the best resources for our staff and our students, but on the most economical way. And Dr. Hicks reviews her list annually. We look at software lists annually. We always review everything to make sure it's a resource that's being consistently used. And like you said, it will provide the students the resources necessary to be successful when we put the scores on at the end of the year as well. We're very trim. We're 85% salaries and benefit. The rest of it falls in the areas of software, supplies, and obviously the big line is utilities, and then our workers' comp and risk management insurance. So those things make up the balance of it. Like I said, looking at a rate change is not easy, but when you look at where we are fund balance-wise, what we're accomplishing for the dollars that we're given, and then where we rank dollars per student in the state, it's hard to argue that we're not making every effort to maximize the use of the revenue given to us.
How much did you say on state health was going up? It's
443.
43, and then you said TRS is going to cost us how much?
216.
So 650, and 1 mil generates roughly 1.3 million. So just those increases are a half a mil right there.
Right.
You're saying, you're thinking we're
Right.
probably going to have to go up 3/4 of a mil.
0.75, yes.
Yeah. So that's 300,000, basically.
And so one thing also to bear in mind, when you look at our digest as well, our digest is about a 49 residential, 47 commercial industrial split. So it's always important to, we always talk about balance, because, the residents, don't want to bear full burden of, changes up or down, So those are always things to consider, when we're looking at this. And also, like I said, in the digest too, if you remember our exemptions that we approved to increase the senior tax exemptions, you know, that's a loss of revenue about $1.2 million in taxes. So, you know, so you lose some in those categories, then essentially you've got to try to either cut costs or you got to make it up in those that are left in the remaining pool of that. And like I said, we changed the millage just slightly last year. Actually, we had a negative rollback rate last year, first time ever. It just changed slightly, but like I said, and this impact, you know, on the average homeowner, you know, around, let's say, $350,000 or something like that on a household. You're looking at probably from changing from where they were this year to next year, it's about maybe $105 annually on a piece
But
of
as far as
property.
taxpayers go, one thing they need to know is, basically, the exemption is gonna cost us $1.2 million.
Right.
State health is gonna, combined with TRS, is gonna increase it a little over 600,000. So that's 1.8 million, really about 1.9. One mill generates 1.3. So really, we should be going up $1.5 million just to break even if you look at just those numbers. But we're only going up half of that amount. So that means that you guys have trimmed a lot to come up with just that increase, really.
That's absolutely right, yeah. Like I said, but we're still needing that reserve to balance, and the hope is, just like last year, we didn't have to use the full reserve. We had to use about half of that reserve to balance last year's plan. So the hope is we will continue to, you know, stretch, and, you know, analyze, like I said, all of our costs. But like I said, some of your fixed costs are just your fixed costs of doing business, and they're difficult when they keep going up. You know, I do hope the state legislator will consider, one of the things I think that would help a lot of school systems tremendously is, if you remember, the state salary schedule only goes up to 21 years. And a lot of systems, like us, we expanded it to 30. So there's a lot of systems out there that have expanded to be competitive and so forth, the salary schedule for teachers. And, you know, if the state was willing to go up and increase those years on that salary schedule, that would assist a lot of school systems revenue-wise, to help combat, you know, because anything paid beyond that, you know, we have the local supplement of 11.5%, but then anything paid past 21 years is local. The difference between that last 21 year and what somebody's being paid at 26 year, that's locally on the school systems. And so if the state would consider expanding that schedule to be an attractive thing for schools, that would be a tremendous asset to consider. I know they discussed it last year. I think Superintendent Woods brought it up, but I'm hoping it might come back again, maybe, so.
Also, one thing you gotta realize on this, to use your fund balance, is to balance your budget, you're eventually gonna run out of your fund balance. Unless you, find some way to replace it.
And like I said, we're having to use a TAN because we don't have enough fund balance, because, you know, we don't get revenue on taxes for 5.5 to 6 months, you know, so you have to have enough revenue to float to get to that point. And like I said, borrowing is not necessarily, it's not a bad thing, but, you know, we gotta make sure we keep our fund balance in check. And we're creeping for the very reason, like you said, we're trying to not to burden our local taxpayers, the full amount, like you said. But we do need to make a change.
Okay, anybody else have any other questions or comments? And right now, as a general statement, this budget will lie on the table for 30 days for public review. And then we would be in a position next month, if everybody's agreeable, to adopt the budget and with that, set the millage rate officially. And in the meantime, since it will not comply with the rollback rate, we'll have to have the hearings. I think we're gonna have
We'll
3.
coincide, yeah, we'll coincide the budget with that. We'll do them at the same time.
And that will be advertised in the paper.
It will.
And I think there's a certain size of print and
Yeah.
everything else that's gotta be.
Everything has to be spelled out in it, so. Is there anything else? Donna?
No, I think you've covered everything. Thank you. Did a great job.
All right, thank you. Then, so that's all we have before the action items. So I always like to hear from the principals about, and this time will be adventurous because it tells us what happened in the last week and a half. Start of school. Ms. Knight, I'm gonna start with you. You got the prettiest school here, I believe. At least that's what you told me to say.
That's right, that's right. We are very, very thankful and have gotten off to a great start this year. You can just see how excited we are. We have lots of parents in the building tonight, because we're having curriculum night. We call it Thriving with Jesus. And we have also boat ride sharing, some common challenges that middle school students face with parents, and they're gonna get them always to the classrooms and meet with their teachers and talk about curriculum, and then go out and talk with their connections people. We're off to a good start with getting some of our pre-testing done and lots of meetings. Our glow run is coming up next month, the 25th, so sign up and come walk and run with us. And we've got volleyball and softball, cross country and tennis and football started, and lots of clubs, lots of places for kids to get involved and find a place to belong. And that's what's most important.
A lot going on.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Joyner, let's go with you at the elementary school. What's happening over there?
Well, kind of similar, with just smaller people, but.
Smaller people.
We've had parents in and out a few times. We had open house and a big turnout. We had this week curriculum night just for kindergarten Monday night and curriculum night for first and second grade Tuesday night. So we've had a lot of parents coming and going. With the new traffic plan with our color-coded lots, we've had a lot of help from those folks up there. And back here, monitoring and helping us get traffic flowing, and we feel like we're getting into a groove. I think it's pretty amazing that we get the number of small children out of our building in about 20 minutes every day. This is great. We have the 3-year-old Diagonist class in our building now, and they're so cute coming in and heading down Pre-K hallway. So getting them in the building and getting everybody where they belong, it's been pretty smooth start. We have 12 new teachers.
What'd you say? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that part.
12 new
12
teachers.
new teachers.
New teachers,
At the
okay.
elementary school. And, it's been a very smooth start for them. So far, things are rocking out. Officer Diaz did a great job helping us plan our loops, and he and Trevor and the other, APs we're all at different spots trying to, keep things moving. Katie Craling, our new AP, we miss Taryn very much. But Katie has jumped in head first. She is learning all about the curriculum, the assessments. She's getting to know the staff. We're excited about having Jennifer Bray as a literacy coach and Heather Harden. They've already been working really hard with our teachers. Just a lot going on in 2 weeks.
Lots going on. Yeah.
More to come.
Do you like the new floors over there?
Love the new floors. Love the new floors. They make the building look so much fresher and cleaner and brighter, and it's a lot less waxing for Mr. Darrell. So we're very excited.
So he likes them a lot. I agree. All right, thank you. Ms. Ferguson, you got the academy. I was looking over there a while while ago, and I could just see the cars backed up out onto the road trying to get in to pick up the children. But how's it going over there?
You know, we're ready for our turn for new floors next. But no, seriously, we've had a really great start to the year. We had this past Monday, we had what we call Roar Day, where myself and the other administrators and our counselor each take one letter of ROAR, which is our behavior motto, and spend the whole day teaching the kids, reminding the kids the expectations, so everybody gets the same message. So
That's good.
a great, fun year. We have our curriculum night a little later in the month. We're trying something different this year, combining it with our book fair night, and we're hoping that by pushing it back just a little bit, the craziness at the start of the school year won't prevent as many parents from coming, and that we'll have some just better attendance for us to get our parents in. We today had some foundations training for all 3 grade levels. Jennifer Ray has been great to organize that. We're excited to have foundations go all the way up to 5th grade now, especially for those kids who have been here since pre-K. It's going to be something that we're very familiar with. So we're excited to get started with that.
All right, thank you. Feel like we've got a lot going on. Ms. Hicks, talk to us about the nutrition program.
We are rock and rolling. Every kid is getting fed who wants to get fed, which is the most important thing. We added some new menu items this year, and the bread bowls have gone over really surprisingly well at our breakfast menu. We've got a bunch of new menu items that we want to roll out this year. Some new things that we're trying out for some of our schools, like we want to open up the salad bar at our older grades. So just something really to get on.
Very good. Got a lot of hungry little children, huh?
We do have a lot of hungry little children.
And big children, I would imagine.
In the middle school kitchen.
The new middle school kitchen is phenomenal. I have not been able to spend a ton of time in there, which is a blessing and a curse, because I do kind of want to get in there and spend a lot of time in there, but it is gorgeous. And just every time I walk in there and I see the kids moving through the lines, it's fantastic.
Very good, yeah.
The 6th graders have a lot of choices to make at lunch that they are excited about. Parents, maybe not so much, but they are super excited.
Well, that's good. We're glad that worked out over here. You put in some time last year of trying to work out a plan without a cafeteria to eat in, so that's,
Glad to not have to work that out this year.
don't want to work it out again, I understand.
Glad to not have to worry about that.
All right. Mr. Plummer, you got any words for the wise today?
Certainly, yeah. Technology team has been doing our best to not be noticed, because we find that technology is effective when no one's noticing technology. So our local school technicians have closed over 300 help tickets since teachers have returned. Ms. Nolan, our digital learning specialist, is doing a great job supporting our teachers in the rollout of Parent Square, and some of the new features that we have at Parent Square. And then other than that, we're just excited to have our new servers up and running. We have 37 servers that we transferred over to these new machines.
Wow.
We've doubled our testing capacity for milestones testing. And one of our big goals at the beginning of the year is just to support all the assessments that are going on. So we were at JMS supporting Star Screener. We'll be at the elementary school and the academy next week supporting here as well.
Very good. Well, thank you. Anybody else have any questions or concerns? Oh, yeah. She's hiding back there.
You can't see her behind the back.
Would you like a report?
Yeah, Ms. Peplo.
We, in special education, are working on transfers. We have about 35 students who've transferred to us, which is about the same number we had last year. Our numbers are slightly up in special education from March. You have a couple of things I would love for you to approve this evening. Some contracts for GNET. So remember, that's Jefferson, Social Circle, Barrow, and Oconee. And then some shared service. I think there's a shared service contract, which is like our OT, our PT, Vision, GHH.
Good, thank you.
Person that's new here. I don't know if you want any updates from Ms. Smith.
Of course.
Smith.
In the area of MTSS, so state and federal programs, I'm start with state programs, but MTSS, as Mr. Plummer mentioned, we're doing universal screenings at JUS and JA next week. So Randy and I will be sitting down, with those leaders of those buildings and kind of digging through that data as soon as we have that. And that will be in, reading and mathematics. So we'll focus, with the Literacy Act, we'll focus a lot on, reading of course, but then math will be a secondary focus for sure. And then, with our ESOL students, we are, blessed this year to use some of our federal funding to support, our 9th through 12th graders with, a program from National Geographic that helps with their language acquisition. So, I'm really excited about that, and the high school ESOL teachers are excited about that as well. And elementary school will be using National Geographic for their, ESOL students as well as the academy. And the middle school will be using, a more, software-based program with Summit K-12. So we'll be rolling the onboarding team, so Julie Nolan's working on onboarding all of our middle school students as we speak, so that all of those can get started very quickly.
All right, thank you. Again, any other questions or concerns? I'll leave anybody else out.
Well, before we go, I think we threw you off with our, the budget conversation in terms of the budget lying on the table, but we need to scoot through this list of action items. I know Ms. Peplo mentioned she would love to have one approved, and I know she would, I think you've already signed all of these, Mr. Hopkins.
I've already approved them all.
That's right. If we could go back through that before we close out, that would be great.
Yeah, I was gonna go
Yes.
back to the action
Yes, thank
items.
you.
All right, on the action items, approve the fundraising request, that's the first one.
All right, so, again, you all will recall, August and September are months that we have our schools and our athletics programs submit fundraising requests. And, so we have the first round of these requests. You can look at those, they are listed here by school. I've reviewed them, all the principals have reviewed and signed off. Coach Navis has signed off on the athletics fundraising request, and I have reviewed them as well. And, nothing is out of the ordinary, similar to the events or activities that we, approved last year. So I would like to make a recommendation that you approve these requests.
You've heard the recommendation of the superintendent to have a motion. Motion to approve the fundraising request. Is there a second? I got a second. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with that blue hand. Thank you. All right, just keep on going.
All right.
Approve,
Spending resolution, so Kim hopes this one is approved, so we can pay our bills, but again, until we have that budget, approved next month, we will need to do this, and so, I would like to recommend you approve the spending resolution for September 2026.
and as y'all remember, that's, has to do with just, authorizing us to spend the money that we have, because we haven't adopted a budget, and so this would allow us to do that. Do I have a motion that we adopt the spending resolution?
So moved.
Have a motion, there's a motion and a second. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with that blue hand. Thank you.
Okay, the next two items, but we'll go with this, item C, approve FY 27 CTAE grants. Dr. Hicks mentioned this. Annually, we get allocations, state and federal funding, to support our career technical and agricultural education programs at the middle and high school. You have those amounts listed there. The total federal Perkins 5 will be $32,002. And then we have a state grants allocation, in the amount of $44,885. And then a capital equipment grant application for $163,575. And then, the agricultural education grants, $39,400. So
And this is money coming in, not
that's
going
right.
out.
That's exactly right. It's money
Nobody better vote against this
And
one.
the vocational instruction is for the middle school labs, so those are for the labs that we have. So those will outfit them with specific equipment. They can't use it for consumables, it can only be for equipment. So like our health occupations and computer.
All right, do I have a
science.
motion that we approve the CTAE grants for 2027?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with that uplifted hand. Thank you.
Okay, and the next one is to approve the FY 2027 federal grants. These allocations are listed on the attached document by program, so this would be Title I, 2A, 3A, and 4A, as well as the IDEA grants for that, for our special education, and you see the total there, $1,091,038, and these funds are again coming into us to support students in a variety of programs, and annually we're required to submit a budget on how we plan to utilize those funds, and the State Department approves that before we're able to get those. So basically, I think Taryn did a great job explaining some of those things, and Ms. Peplo, obviously throughout each month, she gives you those special education updates, so a lot of support for those students.
All right. Okay, we've heard the recommendation of the superintendent to have a motion that we adopt this for federal grants for FY 2027.
So moved.
Motion and a second. We got this going now. Any other questions or concerns about any of those? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with that uplifted hand. Thank you.
Okay, the next one, we have our Foothills Collaborative Operating Agreement, or our Memorandum of Understanding. And we have to have this in place to meet legislative requirements, so no longer are any of our students who are interested in going to Foothills, can they participate in that program without having this MOU in place. So this is consistent with what we have done in the past, and I would recommend that you approve this agreement for FY 27.
All right, I heard the recommendation of the superintendent that we approve the operating agreement with Foothills Regional High School. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions or concerns about this one? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Thank you.
All right, approve the memorandum of understanding with Barrow County, Social Circle City, and Oconee County School Systems for the GNETS program. We are, in my opinion, extremely fortunate to be able to partner with these school systems. Barrow County is the host site. They do an outstanding job, and I'm grateful for the opportunity for us to be able to partner with them, because this is, a cost that we share, but it's also a great collaboration in terms of the types of services and support that we provide these students. And Brandy has a great working relationship with the other special education directors, and I would venture to say we have the strongest GNETS program, so we're certainly appreciative of this opportunity. So I would like to recommend you approve this agreement, and again, you'll notice on the attachment, we will sign, and then, or we will have a document that has to be signed, that all of the other school systems also will take care of those signatures as well.
All right, you heard the recommendation of the superintendent. To have a motion?
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any other questions or concerns? I think the actual agreement is attached, isn't it? If you want to look at it. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with that uplifted hand. Thank you.
All right, and then approve the direct services fixed price contract with Northeast Georgia RESA. Again, this is shared services that we're able to provide in partnership with our RESA. This supports some support services, visual impairment, deaf, hard of hearing, occupational therapy, and all of the others are listed there. But again, this would be something that would be very costly for the school system to provide those services. So we have this partnership to be able to provide the support needed. And the amount for Jefferson City for the upcoming, or this current school year, is $229,399.22.
Okay. If you run short, Willie will put up the 22 cents. To have a motion that we adopt this fixed price contract for shared services with the Northeast Georgia RESA. The motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions or concerns? That's basically the same amount we did last year, isn't it?
Pretty comparable to what we've done in the past.
All right, very good. All those if no other questions, all those in favor signify by that, put your hand. Thank you.
All right, and then approve local board policy JBCD, transfer and withdrawals. This was a policy that, you may recall last month we had a long list of amended policies that you approved, and this was one that we did not have an existing policy. This is a policy that we must have in place to comply with state rules and legislation that has been passed back in the last legislative session, and it specifies information regarding transfer and withdrawals of students. We would like to recommend approval of this board policy. No inquiries over the 30-day period, no questions received, so I think we're ready to approve it.
Okay, thank you. Heard the recommendation of the superintendent that we approve this board policy, which is JBCD, transfer and withdrawals. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with that blue to Dan. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Ferguson didn't get floors, but she got an HVAC compressor for her cafeteria. So we would.
It's
and
good
I
to
know
stay
that,
cool.
The cafeteria staff certainly appreciates that. So we would like to have you approve the purchase of this replacement, Optimum Mechanical, and the cost is $32,000.
All right, very good. We heard the recommendation of the superintendent to have a motion to approve the HVAC compressor for the Jefferson Academy cafeteria.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. You're not getting paid this week. You're not doing anything. Okay. If there are no other concerns, all those in favor signify by that hand. Thank you.
All right, this next item, approve change order number 1 for the JHS expansion renovation modification project. Kim, I'm going to ask you to provide information on this particular item before we recommend for approval.
If you remember, we approved already the site work, and that was the total of $9,117,000. So that was doing the prep and the utilities underground and so forth, and basically getting that parking ready. But in that site work, it's not 100% complete. That 9 million is not 100%. Some of that will be done later or as the project goes through its other phases as well. But anyway, that site work was approved as number 1. So number 2 was basically everything else. That's the new construction, the 3-story unit that will come off the front of the PAC, as well as the new band room that will be built to the side of it, as well as renovation and modification inside the existing facility. And so that information came in. They opened up the bids about a month ago at Carroll Daniel, and they had to go through and vet out all of the bids to make sure everything aligned to the scope of work. So they came back to us this week and presented to us the lowest bids that came in at $48,878,316. So that'll be change order number 1, which added to the 9.2 that was already approved in you're looking at a grand total of $57,995,543. And embedded in those numbers, there is a contingency that is in that value, so there's over $4,000 worth of contingency.
4 million, isn't it?
4 million, sorry, yes, 4 million in the contingency of the 48 that's being presented today.
Okay, you put that in the
I
form.
would like to make that a recommendation for you to approve this change order.
Had the superintendent recommendation of approving this change order, and to have a motion.
I'd like to ask a question. As far as the scope of work, this includes basically everything, as far as the renovations
This is the renovations and modifications.
and
What
all the
this-
modifications.
That's right. What this does not include are things that are extra for us. So, bells and intercom systems that we have to improve upon, furniture,
Okay.
equipment for in the labs.
Structures, this is site work and
That's right.
structure only, does not include,
That's like this room here.
it does not
This would be
include the
building,
furnishings,
yes, but not the
basically.
furniture, that's
Yeah.
right.
Right.
Right, which we always try to estimate out how much we need to include for other items that, like I said, that are not embedded in the contract itself. Technology,
Right,
when
right.
it comes to LED panels and things like that, and furniture to go in the classrooms, and security cameras.
Right.
Those kind of things
So-
are not included. But like I said, HVAC, anything like that, wiring.
So of that 9 million on the initial cost, roughly how much have we paid Carol Daniels so far of that?
We just paid $1 million right now through July. We have another bill coming up of, I think, about $1 million.
They were waiting for us. This is actually what I would know as the GMP,
Yes.
the gross maximum price.
Right, right. What I'm
And-
getting at, I'm just trying to figure out in my head as far as how much borrowing capacity we'll have when we're done. So if we're at 58 million here, roughly how much have we paid Carol Daniel on the site work so far of that 9 million? One, so we got 8 to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you looked at 72 million
So
on
you
the
got
bond,
72 and a
right,
half
You back off the 2.5 for
minus
the
the,
middle school.
minus the 2 point, yeah,
Right.
you gotta include that. We've paid $1 million, so this is 58 minus 1, so that's 57. You got 2.5 to go over there, that's 59 and a half. You got borrowing capacity of 72.5. So that leaves us with about a $13 million cushion, correct? Roughly, for everything else, and then future renovations, okay. Okay, I'm good.
All right, any other questions? Thank you.
All right, and then the last.
Wait a minute,
item-
wait a minute.
Oh,
We got to vote.
sorry.
Brantley, though, you did bill the architect's fees, the 6% is on the 58.
On the 58,
So-
yeah.
Right, so your 13 is more like 7, but we are getting capital outlay funds, so that's the other thing that will help offset. So it'll get us back to a number closer to about $11 million. When you back off the like I said, you take that 13, you back off the 6 for the architect, or the 3.8. So, anyway, yeah, so it's around about $11 million right now that we're looking at left. And like I said, we're hoping with contingency and kind of the possibility of underrunning, but with the high school, obviously, it's the age, it's a little bit more of the unknowns, right?
Yeah.
But maybe we'll find ourselves in a fortunate position that you don't have to tap into that contingency that much. So, the hope is to reserve enough so we can be able to execute, like you said, on some additional projects that we've talked about.
All right. We've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion that we adopt this, I call it the GMP, but what do we call it?
The change order.
Change order. A change order.
So move.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor signify with that left hand. Thank you. All right. Got some surplus items.
Yes, we have some cafeteria tables, so 15 old or damaged tables that we need to surplus so we can get those moved out of here. We have beautiful new tables, and so these were left over from the old furniture equipment. So I would like for you to recommend you approve these items be surplused.
I heard the recommendation of the superintendent. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second? Motion and a second. Any other questions? Well, you need some cafeteria tables? Okay, I just,
Probably got 2 legs missing.
yeah, they say they're old or damaged. Like me and you, they're old.
Broke down.
Broke down a little bit. Do I have a motion to approve the declaration of surplus items?
Motion.
Motion.
We got a motion and a second, or double motion? Double motion. Any other questions? Anybody got any ideas about these? Are these out of the middle school?
They are, yes, sir.
All right. Hearing no other questions, all those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Thank you. I guess that's all of the action items. Right?
Yes, that's it.
All right, now we have a time of any public comment. Heard from everybody here, just about.
Got anything to say?
Hearing none, we'll move on into, you need an executive
Just a
session.
quick one, yes, sir, just have personnel.
Okay, well, to have a motion to go into executive session for personnel.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none,